So let's try to understand some quickly the product features, which I'm sure most of you are aware about it. Okay, but still, let's have a quick discussion, or you can say a detailed discussion upon it. So the products that we are talking about, they have certain basic features which I wanted to highlight it. First is with the video compression. So just having a simple product where even a basic camera that you're having, all the unwanted frames, I would say the pixels which are not in use, those need not to be carried forward in all the frames. So you can reduce your bit rate by having the good video compression techniques, which is based on the camera itself on the processor. Okay, then you have triple streams, so multiple streams that can help you out for monitoring activities, local recording, as well as remote recording that you would like to have it. So basically, in multiple architecture, where you have multi-tier architecture, in such kind of a setup, if I want a single viewing or multiple viewings at one camera and storage at multiple locations, then this kind of triple streams will definitely help out, wherein a local stream which is of a higher resolution can be utilized for a local storage, whereas the one which has with a lower resolution can be deployed for the common storage that we would like to do it. So that gives a very good advantage of having triple streams. Of course, I had a query where whether we can have a quad stream as well. So quad stream, yes, definitely we can work out for quad stream activity as well. But then this will be very restricted, or I would say limited, for the requirement, right? So that's how the devices will be helping across. Before we move on, just quick queries that I had onto the screen. So how far the face recognition camera can tackle? Well, the camera lens, as you set it up based on the very focal lens that you put across, that is 2.8 to 12 mm, or even though if you're putting a higher resolution lens, you can get the image clarity on the face part of it. Okay, so that's going to be value add for it. And then if you talk about thermal cameras, yes, the thermal cameras can detect with the body heat, or you can say the specific temperature that your body is required. But for that purpose you require only thermal devices. A normal face recognition camera cannot be utilized for the thermal detection. So that's where is a new product segment which has suddenly involved more aggressively, I would say, in the market. So that's one of the trend. Okay, coming to the next part of it, triple streams, we talked about dynamic frame rate. So when you talk about bit rate, all cameras have a bit rate encoding of 32 kbps right up till 10 to 12 mbps supported. So this variable bit rate is required as per the analytics or any other special features that you're running onto the device. But more importantly, if there is more number of pixels that are going to get transmitted to the network, definitely the bit rate would vary across. But if there is any still image, definitely the bit rate will reduce as per the requirement. So whenever we put H.265 or H.265 plus as a codec, your bitrate automatically changes to VBR. So that's where the VBR functions are very very essential for a higher controlled or compressed image where you're looking at. So usually a 2 megapixel camera, if you want to record in the full HD mode, based on the bit rates that you set it up in FPS, you can have a bandwidth requirement of up to say 512 Mbps, or even lower than that, or say right up to 1 Mbps also, based on the requirement, or you can see the flow that is happening through. Okay. So yes, that can be controlled or utilized in a better way by using these techniques that we have. Okay. Coming to the next part of it, on the product part, that is smart IR. So this is a very basic function wherein all the new cameras that are coming up now have the IR functionality, which balances with the luminance level that you have. So not just making a white image, but a clear image with the objects which are nearby, and ensuring that you get a better clarity even in night mode. So this is done wherein the IR LED ring that you have onto the camera, it has a variable voltage. It's not just the standard voltage output that is given to it, but a variable voltage which is provided by the IC, or I would say the integrated chip, which controls this IR mechanism. So that's how it's being enhanced more better. But when you talk about the color view, or I would say the Starlight series of cameras, the sensor itself has that much of clarity where even in low lighting conditions, even a small lux factor, it is going to give you a colored image. Okay, so that's there with the light luminance. But more importantly, on the HLC, like where we deploy cameras for the outdoor deployments. Okay, so in such scenarios, anything that you have, okay, your view part of it will always be blurred if you get a strong white light from the headlights, or maybe from the street lights that is upcoming. So for such purposes, you can use HLC, that is highlight compensation. Okay. So what it does is the peak light that you have and the low light that you have in between your entire frame, it tries to compensate for it. Okay, and gets it to a lower resolution, so it reaches to a minimal value, or I can say mean value. So that is how you get a better clarity onto the image and have this complete blur image avoided. So that's how things will improve on the HLC. Talking about WDR, that is wide dynamic range WDR functions. So WDR, definitely, I think so you can understand from which image it's more clear or more detailed. So very important, I would say, as we deploy in certain locations, WDR does make an impact. If you talk about a professional camera which supports up to 120 dB WDR functions, 120 dB WDR support. Okay. So if you talk about a standard camera, yes, it will not have that much of complete visibility. But if you talk about, if you have a, there are two variants in WDR as well. So one that we are talking about is with true WDR, wherein it is hardware based and hardware controlled onto the system itself. And the other variant that is available is with the software part of it, which is digital WDR, that is DWDR function that is supported on the basic series of products. So there are two variants in this product category, and both the variants have their unique features, because hardware based WDR, when you talk about, it's going to add a cost wherein it's going to match multiple things on the hardware level and give you a clear image. So next thing to talk about is on the alert function. There are many alerts that come on to the device. So whenever there is any action or that you would like to trigger, so one basic thing that you have is take a snapshot or send an email. But the active part of it to talk about is to start with the SD card recording. So now most of the cameras have the SD card function wherein you can have a local storage done. And for the SD card recording to trigger, we have this alarm trigger mechanism in case of any disconnection or any such event that occurs through. So you can have all these alarms triggered for any such activity. For PTZ kind of a scenario, you can have a preset done automatically, or where auto tracking is enabled. If there is any motion observed, it can trigger to track that motion using the auto tracking PTZ option. Okay, so that is there on to the device. So these are the standard, I would say, alarm based functions that are supported onto the camera, and it can easily trigger any actions that take across with the setup. So that's going to be a new value add whenever you are trying to get connected using these alarm triggering mechanisms. Then some quick, easy functions that you have: one-click upgrade, cloud upgrade, where you have all the cameras and the NVRs that are going to come up for dealing are be having a cloud-based firmware updates that will be there. Plug and play. So if you have a same IP camera as well as the NVR of the same series, you just connected the camera, you can directly get the view onto the NVR screen. You don't need to do any major configurations. Just you need to search for that camera and enter the password that you may have configured onto the device. So that's going to be an advantage for a basic cameras. Then OnWIF, D-Link is OnWIF member as well, and we are working wherein certain products will be complied for SG and OnWIF profile T as well. So that's going to be a value add for any projects specifically where you have OnWIF detail mention. So we'll be having a products listed. A certain most of the products are currently also listed onto the OnWIF portal under D-Link Corporation name. So that's going to be one of the critical point to highlight for the competition. The other thing that we have is easy compatibility with HTML5. So you can use with Chrome, Firefox, and Edge for the new series of products. Um, Next big thing is on the reliability, because when you talk about camera, the more critical locations that you deploy, reliability is of utmost concern. Say, for example, your ATMs, your banks, your data centers where these devices are getting deployed. Everywhere you need to ensure that there is a good operating voltage that is supported across, because some of the time locations, the camera deployment that you do, there is a good amount of variation in the voltage, specifically where you have cameras deployed in industrial based locations where the voltage fluctuation is quite high. So that's where we have an advantage, where almost, I would say, 25% of voltage tolerance is available. Image distortion, so any kind of image connectivity, or you can say distorted images that come across, those are easily corrected using this feature. Okay. Then to talk about more is on the coaxial cable that is provided along with the Pro Series cameras, wherein in case if anything that you have, okay, you can have a detailed cable that is coming in the device itself, in the device box. So you can have an easy connection onto the PCB and have any kind of activity that you can do it for monitoring as well. So the coaxial cable is there, which needs to be connected in the dome camera for any of your monitoring purposes. And one more critical thing to highlight is on the SD card and the ANR. So when you talk about any local recording that support that you are doing onto your device, in case of any network or I would say failure, you can have a ANR function triggered onto the device, and then the camera can do the local recording and then synchronize with your NVR. So that feature is there onto the device. So maybe it's for say 2 hours or 4 hours, whatever time period that you have, it can easily get connected back onto the network. So that's the beauty, where the synchronization will take place onto the local networks that you have and can give you a good value add. So this is possible over the LAN as well as, if you are extending it on a larger network also, you can have the complete synchronization done onto the NVR recordings. Okay. The lastly to highlight over here is with the network disconnection detection. So in case if any time if your IPC loses the connectivity, automatically it will try to get connected onto the same network, or I would say same IP address binded across for a certain time interval of say 5 to 8 seconds. So in case of there is any network fluctuation that is happening into the network, these things can be a good value add when you're trying to get connected. Okay. Coming on to the next platform is on the security part of it. This is of utmost concern because cameras as a device are now highly vulnerable for any kind of attacks. But then how are we preventing it, or how secured you can keep your devices? Very basic thing, the authentication mechanisms. So a user based authentication where you have the strong username and the password for any kind of actions that you try to set it up into your network. Then IP filtration, so ensuring that only restricted IP addresses are allowed to access the device. That is very very critical. And then R protection, so in case of any random access that is happening through, that can be protected through R. Okay. And more importantly, for larger networks where you have multiple devices connected, 802.1x authentication is going to be very very helpful for you. So you don't need to get into the details of the product individual camera configuration. For authentication purpose, you can straight away so connect with your authentication server and have the complete authentication activities done. So that's going to be very crucial. And then more importantly, once this data is accessed onto your device, or I would say on the IPC, you can have further enhancement is on the network part of it. So I can ensure that whatever content that I'm passing across, okay, has a digital watermark that can be controlled through it. Okay. And then the video that you are transmitting, that video also can be encrypted in a specific format, so that you have an encryption mechanisms to ensure the video content is quite secured when you are transferring from one location to the other. And more importantly, out over here is on the network, as you said, the unsafe ports. Usually, you have Telnet, FTP, HTTP ports, which are commonly used. But other ports which are not in use, those are by default shut down onto the device. You have to go onto the web page, and you can enable the specific function that you would like to utilize it. But by default, these ports, like even for FTP, that is all by default shutdown mode. So that's a good advantage, making your device completely secured onto your network. Plus, to highlight over here, it's the devices that we are procure that will be coming up with. Those are all GDPR, as per the GDPR guidelines as well. So that's going to be also a very good value add. Okay, that can be tracked upon. Coming on to the camera specific features on the analytics. So yes, these are the common analytics supported. You have object abandon, object removal, line crossing, uh, face detection, intrusion detection. But a point to highlight over here is on the audio detection. So certain project series models, they also have an audio detection feature. So how does this work on the audio part of it? It works on the decibels. So when you talk about sound, sound is measured in decibels. So any kind of high noise or any sudden spike in noise that is created, okay, that is detected by this audio function. Okay. And you can have easily triggered of the for these alarms that can be utilized for for this activities. But then a word of caution, audio detection doesn't mean that you can have a complete audio recording done onto the device, because these cameras, for example, a dome camera, you're going to mount on the ceiling, which is at a height of say 8 to 10 feet. And then when you try to do a recording with audio, that's not going to give you a clear output. But yes, you can have the external mic connected to it. So it has a audio input output port where it's better to connect an external mic and have the recordings done. So that's going to be a value add. So this device, which I'm talking about, which supports audio in the project series of products, that will also have the audio inbuilt, audio external mics, as well as inbuilt audio function. Along with that, it will also has the alarm functions for you to trigger any activities. Okay, so that's going to be with the audio functionality. The next thing, when we say that there are so many analytics supported on the device, but it's very critical how we deploy them in a right manner. So that's going to be very very crucial. One such example would like to share in terms of people counting. So when you say people counting supported on the device, we had a small deployment wherein we wanted to count the number of people that are getting inside a factory kind of environment, because the factory is very crucial. So at any point of time, maybe the security guy, or the any specific person who is monitoring the entire setup, he needs to control the attendance, or I would say the people who are there inside the building. So then to control it, you need to have these function like people counting at the entry and the exit gate. So if I have a camera which is mounted right across the entry point of it, the camera that you require over here would need to have a slightly a narrow field of view. And then the people who are coming, the number of targets that you would like to capture in one single line or one single go, that is going to be crucial, because when we say people counting, you have a single line where people are going in and coming out, then it is very easy to capture the entire movement. But in the same scenario, if you have multiple people, say a bunch of 10 people who are coming in and going out at 1 second, or I would say one single point of time, then it becomes very, very crucial for, to position the camera in a right manner. So it is easy where you have access based control where you have the people counting is happening. But in deployments where there is a large, I would say at least say 1 meter wide, or I would say 1.5 meter wide door entrance that you have, and that location, if you would like to monitor it, it is very essential to position the camera and test it before you say it does the complete people counting function. Okay, so that's how it is important in people counting. I would like to highlight one more aspect over here is a server room monitoring. So we have a basic function of area intrusion when we talk about analytics, right? So area intrusion is a very common feature in every basic camera. You can configure with the area intrusion as a function. But then what we are talking about over here in Pro Series products, where area intrusion with time threshold. So what this is going to do is you have a some simple area that you target across, and then any person who is coming in that area, it will not just trigger alarm, but in case if there is any intrusion for a longer period of time, so then it will trigger an alarm. So for example, a passage kind of an area, if there are people passing across, you don't want an alarm to be triggered. But if a person is just standing over there for a long period of time, say after 1 minute or 2 minutes over there, then you can have the triggering activity done. So that's how you can configure these analytics individual camera based, and then have all these analytics viewed onto your VMS platform, or I would say onto the local VMS server as well. Okay, so that's going to be the value add when you try to view all these kind of analytical features onto the device. The other image that I have shown over here is where thermal cameras can be utilized in such environments, and you can do easily the monitoring of any heat sensitive applications, or I would say devices that are running across. So any heated up areas that will turn red, well, rest of the things can be in a simple green or blue color. Okay. So these are certain, I would say, small analytical features that we talked about. Of course, there are a host of other features also that we can, discuss more in detail as well.